Hi everybody, it's Lina again. I'm here with another edition of the Michael Mapergo book, Kaspar, Prince of Cats. Just to show you the front cover to remind you again what book it was that we were reading. And in the last session, we read a few pages of chapter 1. If you can remember a little bit about what happened. So it was just an introduction, and it was a young boy who was working in a hotel as a bellboy, and he was asked to look after a wealthy lady from Russia who brought with her a cat called Kaspar. So I'm just going to read on from where we were before. The first time I met Countess Kadinsky, I thought she was another rich aristocrat, but there was something I admired about her from the start. She didn't just walk to the lift, she sailed there magnificently, her skirts rustling in her wake, the white ostrich feathers in her hat wafting out behind her like pennants in a breeze. Everyone, including Skullface, I'm glad to say, was bobbing curtsies or bowing heads as we passed by, and all the time I found myself basking unashamedly in the Countess's aura, in her grace and her grandeur. I felt suddenly centre stage and very important. As a 14-year-old bellboy, abandoned as an infant on the steps of an orphanage in Islington, I had not had many opportunities to feel so important. So by the time we all got into the lift, the Countess and myself, and the cat still waiting in its basket, I was feeling a cock-a-hoop. I suppose it must have shown. "Why are you smiling like this?" the Countess frowned at me, ostrich feathers shaking as she spoke. I could hardly tell her the truth, so I had to think of something fast. "It's because of your cat, Countess," I replied. "She sounds so funny." "Not she, he. And he is not my cat," she said. "Kaspar is no one's cat. He is the Prince of Cats. He is Prince Kaspar Kandinsky, and a prince belongs to no one, not even to a countess." She smiled at me then. "I tell you something," she said. "I like it when you smile. English people do not smile as often as they should. They do not laugh, they do not cry. This is a great mistake. We Russians, when we want to laugh, we laugh. When we want to cry, we cry. Prince Kaspar is a Russian cat. At this moment, he is a very unhappy cat, so he cries. This is natural, I think." "Why is he so unhappy?" I found myself asking her. "Because he is angry with me. He likes to stay in my house in Moscow. He does not like to travel. I tell him, 'How can I go to sing in opera in London if we do not travel?' He does not listen. When we travel, he always makes a big fuss, big noise. When I let him out of the basket, he will be happy again. I will show you." Sure enough, the moment Kaspar climbed out of the basket in the Countess's sitting room, he fell completely silent. He tested the carpet with one paw and then leaped nimbly out and began once to explore. That was when I first understood just why the Countess called him a Prince of Cats. From his whiskers to his paws, he was black all over, jet black, and sleek and shiny and beautiful. And he knew he was beautiful too. He moved like silk, his head held high, his tail swishing as he went. I was about to leave the room to fetch the rest of her luggage when the Countess called me back, as guests often did when they were about to give a tip. Because of her title and her ostrich feathers and all of the fine luggage she had arrived with, I was very hopeful by now that the tip might be a generous one. As it turned out, she didn't want to give me a tip at all. "Your name? I wish to know your name," she said, removing her hat with a flourish. "Johnny Trot, Countess," I told her. She laughed at that, and I didn't mind because I could tell at once that she was not mocking me. "That is a very funny name," she said, "but who knows? Maybe for you, Kandinsky is a funny name too. Here is a picture of Kaspar on the Countess's luggage. There you go. You can see that he's making himself comfortable in her room. By this time, Kaspar had leapt up onto the sofa. He sprang off again almost at once and went to sharpen his claws, first on the curtain, then on one of the armchairs. After that, he went on a tour of the room, behind the desk, in under the piano, up on the window ledge, for all the world like a prince inspecting his new palace, claiming it before settling down on the armchair by the fireplace, from where he gazed up at us both, blinking his eyes slowly and then licking himself, purring contentedly as he did so. Clearly, the prince approved of his palace. "He's a very smart-looking cat," I said. "Smart? Smart? Kaspar is not smart, Johnny Trot." The Countess was clearly not at all pleased with my description of her cat. "He is beautiful, the most beautiful cat in all of Russia, in all of England, in all of the whole world. There is no other cat like Prince Kaspar. He is not smart, he is magnificent. You agree, Johnny Trot?" I nodded hurriedly. I could hardly argue. "You wish to stroke him?" she asked me. I crouched down by the chair, reached out my hand tentatively, and stroked his purring chest with the back of my finger, but only for a second or two. I sensed that for that moment this was all he would allow. "I think maybe he likes you," said the Countess. "With Prince Kaspar, if you are not a friend, you are an enemy. He did not scratch you, so I think you must be a friend." And here is a picture of Johnny Trot and Prince Kaspar interacting in the hotel room. This is obviously the couch where the cat was pruning all of his claws. You can see that they're starting to establish a relationship already so early on in the book, which is nice, as it sets the scene. As I stood up again, I noticed she was fixing me with a searching look. "I wonder, are you a good boy, Johnny Trot? Can I trust you?" "I think so, Countess," I replied. "This is not good enough. I have to know for sure." "Yes," I told her. "Then I have a very important job for you. During each day I am here in London, you will look after Prince Kaspar for me. Tomorrow morning I begin rehearsal at the opera, Covent Garden. Magic flute, Mozart, I am Queen of the Night. You know this opera?" I shook my head. "One day you will hear it. Maybe one day I shall sing it for you on the piano when I practice. Every morning after breakfast I must practice. Prince Kaspar, he is happy when I sing. At home in Moscow he likes to lie on my piano to listen to me, and he waves his tail, just like now. Look at him. This is how I know he is happy. But when I am at rehearsal, I must know that you look after him well, that he is happy. You will do this for me. Feed him for me, talk to him, take him for a walk outside, once in the morning, once in the evening. He likes this very much. You will not forget." The Countess Kandinsky was not an easy person to say no to, and anyway, the truth is I was flattered to be asked. I did wonder how I would be able to manage it in between my other duties downstairs, but I wondered also whether maybe she'd give me a good tip for it, though I certainly didn't say anything about that. The Countess smiled at me and held out her glove for me to take. I hesitated. I had never before shaken hands with a guest. Bellboys just didn't ever shake hands with guests. But I knew she meant me to, so I did. Her hand was small and the glove was very soft. "You and me and Prince Kaspar, we shall be good friends. I know this. You may leave us now." So I turned to go. "Johnny Trot," she said, laughing again. "I am sorry, but you have a very funny name. Maybe the funniest name I have ever heard. I have decided you are a good boy, Johnny Trot. You know why I think this? You never ask for money. I shall pay you 5 shillings every week for 3 months. I am here for 3 months at the opera. Ah, so now you smile again, Johnny Trot. I like it when you smile. If you had a tail, you would be waving it like Prince Kaspar, I think. When I brought her up her trunks later on and left them in the hallway of her suite, I heard her in the sitting room singing at the piano. I caught a glimpse of Kaspar lying there right in front of her, gazing at her, his tail swishing contentedly. When I left, I stayed outside the door for a while, just listening. I knew even then, as I stood there in the corridor, that this was a day I would never forget. But I could never have imagined in my wildest dreams how the arrival of the Countess and the coming of Kaspar would change my life forever. And here's the last picture of this chapter. You can see that Johnny Trot is outside the door and Prince Kaspar is lying on the piano whilst the Countess is playing a tune for him. I think that's actually the end of chapter 1 now, so I'll leave it there for today and then I'll be in touch soon so that we can carry on with the book. I hope you're enjoying it and we can start with chapter 2 next time. Have a good evening, guys. Bye.